What's up, guys? I figured after seeing, hopefully I'm not going to get carried off by mosquitoes out here, but after seeing James's what's in your bag sort of video, since we can't go out and play courses and stuff like that, I would do one as well. I'm going to try to make it short and sweet. It's way too wet after the rain that we had today to go out and throw and stuff. Not too wet, but I don't really want to. Either way, there's also not a course nearby me, so I'm used to not throwing. I'll just put that out there. Since I moved here 2 years ago, I've been trying to get a course put in here. It's gonna happen, yeah. Okay, so I'll start with the bag. For starters, I will start with something surprising for probably most of you. Yeah, I know, you're used to this. I decided it was finally time to go out with the old. Hey, look at that thing. It's like, yeah, it was time. So it's on the wall. It's on the wall of fame. Some others I'll show you here in a minute, but put on a new one. It does almost the same thing, but it's straight, so more effective. Anyway, there's that. ARPA Rhino, very kind of soft, malleable, foldable, sort of love it. Just grippy, got that little track on there. A great also disc that I can pull out if I have like an approach, you know, less than 70, 80 foot, and just kind of lay it up if a layup is what you need. But also a good like hyzer putter. The Blowfly, I think this is a Blowfly 2, pretty sure. Either way, part of Steady Ed's line. This is one that I really should take out of the bag because I only had it as like a just die shot. It's something if I was in the mountains and I was on the hillside and I wanted this to land and stay where it landed, this was it. I mean, look at the thing. It waves in the wind. Anyway, you can drive with this, but I've found it to be pretty understable and just could roll around and not worth it. So another putter I've started messing with is the Dynamic Discs, the Judge. Very, very rigid. Going to hold its line if you need to cover around something. I don't really use it as like a straight putter, but I'll hyzer hold it. And technical terms are my theme. James, you were all over it, but if you're a disc golfer, you understand what I'm talking about. So that's kind of the putters. This one is an interesting one that I had. A little bit softer than the Judge, but it's an A4 out of Prodigy. Beautiful stamp on it also, by the way. And I believe this was a pretty new one. I think it was the early run of their stuff, so it has a little bit different plastic. 400G plastic. I don't even know what that means. I'm not into the Prodigy stuff enough to really truly understand, but I think that's their most durable plastic. Kind of like Pro Champion, I'm not sure. Either way, it's pretty good. It has this weird little bead on the back side of it. That's a nice little finger hole right there, little guide. And yes, I do backhand. I used not to, but I've learned that you kind of have to. So for the first one, this is an Atlas, I'm pretty sure. Is it MVP that makes that? I'm not sure. I have a really pretty one of these, but it has that kind of heat molded, pressure molded seal, rubber kind of grip on the outside, and that smooth kind of Champion plastic on top. But I'm pretty sure that's MVP. Or maybe this is the Innova version of it. I don't really know. It's very, very consistent, almost like an old school classic rock. Flat top, extremely flat top. Like, yeah, get in there. And that's just consistent. Where you let go of it is where it's going to go. Think Cobra, somewhere in that neighborhood. But classic rock's probably a little better. You can also flick with this, but you got to be sure to not stick your finger on one of those little grommets. Those things are raised up. Anyway, speaking of rocks, this is the only rock in my bag. Not surprising to you guys, of course. It is a very kind of flat top rock, and I think it is a Rancho. Yeah, pretty sure it's a Rancho 176. So not max, chewed all the hell. And it has the Innova line bar stamp, as well as the big bird on it, but you can't see that unless you can faintly make it out in there. I can't tell. Another very, I flick approach. I will actually flick putt this round stuff and stuff like that. The most, I wouldn't say the most beautiful, but one of the most beautiful discs in my bag, you know, Protostar Spider, because why not throw old shit? It's undescribable. Unless you've ever held some of this plastic in your hands and looked at the inside of it, the pearly nature of it, a few little bubbles in the rim here and there. Gotta have one of those. I actually found one in a ditch out in Greenville. It was not this one, but found one and fell in love with it. Called the lady. She said she didn't want it. Whatever. My prop is falling. And so I decided I would keep it. And then I lost it again. Have no idea where I lost it, what happened to it. I'm going to say probably a ravine in Fontana somewhere. Either way, it's gone now, so I bought another one. Found this one kind of used, but perfect. I mean, actually great condition. It's like 50 bucks off eBay or something like that. It's got a dude's like name on it. It's got his numbers on it, stuff, and now it has mine on it, so in the bag. Kind of like a Crow Spider, we know what it is, except the soft nature of this, the pearly plastic CFR stuff. Good stuff. Then we'll get into, I'm kind of pulling them out by section, how I use them. I did organize them. I didn't just open my bag and start pulling shit out, because typically they're just kind of like in there, know what color they are, yada yada. I will start with this Champion Banshee. You guys all know what I do with that. That is not the predominant flicker disc, but if I'm in the woods, I'm gonna flick this, not only because it's neon orange, but because it's like a Firebird, you know. And I've never been too keen on Firebirds. For me, they turn over way too quickly. I like something to hold its line for a while. And it doesn't break in, it doesn't change out off the shelf. And in my hand right here, probably 5 years used on courses when I was playing. It's the same disc. I initially got a hold of these. Mills gave me one out of Greenville, if you guys remember him. And he had won it at a tournament or something, but it was a glow one that had a saw blade on it. And I love that thing. And it rests somewhere in the woods of Mars Hill, North Carolina. I don't know. Long story, I'd rather not talk about it. Another one that, well, they have a similar die, so I'll hold up this one. If you've ever played around with me, you've seen this disc. This is my 12-time Eagle. There's some debate online that this actually may be an 11-time Eagle. Either way, it's a little fingerprinty. It's old school, it has a healthy nick right there. Isn't that just painful? Been there for like 6 years at this point. Don't care. Love the way it flies. And this is like a pop-up disc. I'm gonna flick it out here, and as it goes, it'll pop up and just ride. And you really have to watch the wind on this one, because it'll get carried away. And it's kind of sick to look at in the air. But yeah, definitely a flip-up disc that will just go and go and go. If you really hold it down and crank it, that thing will roll 350, 400 easily. But you gotta be careful, because it'll roll over, roll on you, and you're like, where'd it go? Anyway, because I'm an idiot, I bought another one. It looks exactly like it, so I pull them out accidentally all the time. But this is a Champion Starfire, new age, definitely nothing old about it. Pretty cool stamp, so easy to misplace in all the places. I don't care what color surface you land this on, you can't find it. But it's a sweet disc. This one you can put a little bit of Annie on. This one did break in on me. Actually, I could hold over and it would flick and it would come out of it. But I started realizing that the more I played with it, more I threw it into shit, that it was starting to hold that line and really stretch out, more like an SL, if that makes sense to you guys. Or yeah, something like that. So Starfire Long, I think they called it. I don't know. I had one for a while, but I mean, you ever think about the disc that you're like, I remember that orange SL that I had. What happened to it? Anyway, that was a long time ago. Let's see, I will put in these two. These are my only two. I will also say, I'll go back to the Champion Eagle. This is not the Starfire, I started backhanding this recently and doing pretty well with it. It's consistent, you know what it's gonna do. You're just taking it from your flip to your flip. And that's really the way for me to get any distance with my backhand still. If I need anything over 300, I'm gonna try to forehand it. I'm just not consistent enough with it. If I absolutely have to have distance, I'm gonna use this, which has, you know, to me, a pretty sweet stamp from a tournament we did, but it was a Astra Millennium Astra, pretty sure was what it was on. Super soft, kind of, I mean, crazy flat top. Look at that thing. And this is another one. It's just like, it's like like an old beat-in balls, like really, really beat-in balls. It'll flip up, but it's gonna come back eventually. Wind will affect this one though, so you have to know what the wind's doing, where you are, and downwind to do it. Another one that I throw often if I want something more consistent, big hyzer bomb for my backhand, is this CE T-Bird. Yeah, CE T-Bird. You see the fingerprinting on that. Look at that. It's awesome. Back in the day, you guys will also remember this. See the like circle in the middle and the dots around the rim? That was my like calling sign that I spent so many hours probably marking in Scott dorm. Anyway, but yeah, you can see that thing and see all the like pearlies in it. It's pretty stuff. I think also someone burned it. Look at the two marks though. Those are like burn marks, but a really, really stable, really consistent. And also I heard something about T-Birds and Leopards having bubbles in the rim. This one has like 6. Apparently that makes them rare or bad or good. Tell me, James, I don't know. It's probably worth way more than I should be throwing around, but I use it a lot. I also lost that disc for almost a year at Fontana, and someone walked in the front desk one day and handed it to me. Or actually they pulled it out of the bag and I was like, that's my disc. It's crazy. These next 4 are like experiment discs. I had them in there when I moved down here because I was playing different courses along the way in different places. Even when I was out there, I was traveling over into Knoxville and playing some different courses. And I didn't really know where the holes were maybe, and I didn't want to walk 400 yards, 400 foot and see it. So I was pulling these out, just chunking them down there where I thought the sign in the woods looked like it should be. And if I lost it, big whoop. I hadn't lost, what I'm going to show you later. So we got a G-Star crate, 11 speed, a very kind of the Eagle, kind of the T-Bird range. T-Bird's actually a little bit slower than that anyway. I don't know. It's my backhand if I needed to do it. Red's not the best color, but that G-Star plastic is pretty sweet. Also a G-Star Wraith, a little bit longer version of this. And I have a driver version of this. It's almost like it's a Glow Wraith. You'll see it here in a minute. Somewhere, yeah, there it is. And that's kind of the replacement for that. A Firestorm, speed 14, what the hell? I've thrown it very, very little. I mean, look how clean it is on the back plate. It's like shimmering. But nonetheless, it's got a pretty cool stamp on it too. It's got the Christmas prototype stamp. So when I worked at Fontana, I got all these Christmas things. Even though we hadn't ordered from them in like 5 years, they were sending the dealers or people that were, merchandise people that were selling them or buying bags or baskets or whatever, a custom stamped disc. Not a custom stamp, like a special release stamped disc. I also believe that this was one of them, and they just kind of sat on shelves. And when I was moving around doing different courses, I would put these in there just for that. This was a Blizzard T-Devil with a sick-ass stamp. Like, check that. Probably someone in the T-Devil world really wants that. I thought it was cool because at the time, I was really excited about being working for NC State, Wolfpack, whatever. I don't know. But that's those 4, experimental. If I chunked them somewhere and I couldn't find them, I wasn't going to search all day for them. I hadn't lost something that was near and dear to me. Anyway. The next 5 are my long-range drivers. And if you haven't noticed yet, you'll notice that I am a driver player. I probably still am 75% flick, forehand. I will rarely pull out a roller. I will never throw out an overhand unless absolutely forced to get out of situations. I will never stand on a tee and throw a thumber. I actually created a Facebook group back in the day called PAT, People Against Thumbers, whatever. I'll start you out with this one. Big old fat Protostar. I'm trying to get the shimmer right. I'm losing light out here also. But this is a Vulcan. You can see that relief on the lip there. A great disc to have. I love this disc. It's a little unpredictable though. I don't know if it's temperature or what it is about it, or maybe it's the mold from the Protostar. I don't know, but it's a really flat top, so it's a little unpredictable, and I actually rarely throw it. Considering what it is, it shouldn't be in the bag, but it's all inked up, so whatever. Next up, I will put him back there. Next up is this guy. Probably one of the older discs that I have in my bag. First Run Boss, right there. I got tons of ink from some aces back in the day. Hole 2 at Lorella Park, Virginia, March 7th, 2009. And then a stick ace on hole 3 at the Meadow. Leave a like if you remember that, kind of matching here. That was big Mondo hyzer. Who throws a boss on hole 3 of the Meadow? I do. Stuck it into the side of the basket. Anyway, that was when it actually counted as an ace, so suck it. I mean, this thing is so beat in. You may be surprised that I don't have a series of bosses. I know James mentioned he had a bunch of them that were different stages of being broken in. This one is beyond broken in, and it's actually a little bit different than a typical boss, even off the shelf. It wasn't as overstable as a boss typically is. I've gotten a hold of some of the newer ones and stuff and just put them in the bag and throw them, and it's not that I can't control them. I just don't want to have to. I'd rather use the flip up nature for distance than I would a big old S curve and doing all that. Could care less about it. This was a cool one, Carolina Clash. This was it's got a chainsaw and some loppers on there. I'm not sure it was a tournament. I think it was out of Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte's Web in 2010, and I picked it up off of one of the websites that was running kind of pro stuff back in the day. And it's been a super, always in my bag, always going to use it. Need something consistent, but not maxing out the arm. I would choose this, and it glows. And if you've ever thrown glow plastic as a long range driver, then you know what I'm talking about. It's good stuff. All right, the next two are interchangeable, and I may be asking a question about these as well. So for starters, I'm going to try to hold this in the right direction. First run, Star Stamp, can barely probably see it. I don't know if you even can. Proto Stamp, Destroyer. You know, why do you have something in this bag? Because it throws like butter. You know exactly what this is going to do. If I need max distance, if I can throw that day in the conditions, this is it. Again, it's using hyzer flip. It's using hyzer, just crank it like that, and it's going to sit up and ride. Unless you need it to ride down, I mean, I've probably gotten some drives well over 400 foot with this, just flexing it, just popping up and doing the salad curve and coming out, not using like a boss and sallying it and then to come out that way. Hopefully that makes sense. If I'm throwing over water, if I'm throwing into danger, if I'm throwing in a course I don't know, or anything where I could lose this disc, I throw this disc. And it's marked, where'd it go? SDD, 172 grams. And there's a little mark after the S, like S something DD. And so I don't really know what that means, but on the front of it, I've been on the make out. I don't even know where I got this thing from, but I believe it to be a Star Destroyer. But on the front of it, it's stamped with Discmania Hysteria, something like that. Found it earlier right before this, because I always have to like look at it in the right light and whatever. But I'm pretty sure it was a Discmania Hysteria that this is. And if I'm like, I could really lose that. This is a little bit different, but it's so close. And the wear marks look the same. I mean, the diameter's the same. It's almost the same disc. And they do the same thing for me. So risky situations, non-risky situations, interchangeable really. Those are my two longest ones. I don't know. That's about it. There's, towel and minis and stuff. I don't really play tournaments anymore, but that's the bag, y'all, and it is officially dark. Thanks for the idea, James. I will upload this and send you guys a link. Later, dudes.